Same
You
for
use a
employees.
term that's I found very interesting in your book, intrapreneur. I've heard
Yes.
entrepreneur, and you used intrapreneur. Say what your thinking is behind that term.
Intrapreneur is basically on the concept of entrepreneur. The difference is in an entrepreneur, you are the owner. You own it as your own. Intrapreneur is basically allowing your employees to be part of the ownership of the vision, of the involvement, and of the actually maybe some self-directing in your company. The employee doesn't own the company per se, but they have an involvement to help your company be successful. And you can help them be successful by allowing them to be your intrapreneurs. Entrepreneur is also your internal consultant. You have employees who know your organization, who know what your values are, who at least learn they've been around long enough to understand the concept. And they can also probably be the ones to help you with different guidance or vision or direction. So allowing them to be that entrepreneur makes a big difference to give them the freedom, the autonomy to help you grow your company.
That really challenges the myth that the supervisor has to know everything. That there's a lot of knowledge and talent in your employees, and we need to tap into that more often.
Yes, very much so.
Let's now turn to coaching. That's a term that we're hearing a lot more now in the management world. So what's your feelings and perspective on coaching?
Coaching is, I use the metaphor of coaching in the sense of, you've ever seen football, you've seen basketball. In the sports concept, you have coaches, and those coaches are there to either help the team win a game, help the team come together as a team. It's also as a way to look at individuals when they look at the team and look at the strengths and weaknesses of each individual team member. And when you coach a team member within the football, I'll use football as our analogy, you look at what they're doing great. If, say, if a linebacker, if there's some areas that they're not actually hitting the right place or doing the right thing, the coach will come in and help guide them to their fullest potential. Take us into corporate America, it's no different. When you have a team of people working for you and each individual team has a play within that organization, and each one of us have strengths and we also have areas of improvement. The coach is there to help guide us there to make us have our full potential. And an example of that would be if you have an employee who is having problems with problem solving, and you see that's one of their challenging areas. How could you as a coach help this person in the area of better problem solving? One of the things in the books that we address is how to problem solve, the tools and systems in place, so that when you're going through the process or the analogy, that you can actually have a breakdown that will help you with that. And that's what a coach does. And a coach is honest. They're going to look at you and tell you the true areas of where you're great at and where you can use improvement at, because the ultimate goal is for you to be the best you can be. And if you're the best you can be, then you can be better for your company.
It sounds like feedback is essential to being a good coach. That you need to observe what you're seeing with the employee and then offer reinforcement or recognition when they're doing something that you think is a successful behavior or a successful performance, but also corrective feedback. That maybe try it this way, how about this approach, that kind of thing. Let's now turn to discipline. This is a practice I think many supervisors and managers are apprehensive about. It's always easy to give positive feedback, or for most cases, most of us, we find it easy to give positive feedback, but some of us find it difficult to give negative feedback to employees. What's your sense about discipline in terms of the role of the supervisor and manager?
There's a couple of areas that you pointed out that I really want to touch on. One is that we do find supervisors or managers have a tough time with giving negative feedback because we're actually talking about a person's area of performance that may not be comfortable for the person who's receiving the feedback or the person who's giving the feedback. But there is a way you can do that I think has been very productive. And a part of that is really sitting down with the employee first and talk about goal setting. Making a plan. And goal setting is really sitting down with the employee and coming together as a coach and coachee and talking about the different areas that you can actually achieve as a team, as a coach and a coachee. And it's no different than a game book from going back to the coach. When they're on the field, there's a playbook.
Right.
And
right.
and in the playbook, we all look at the playbook. We're on the same page. We right there establish the goal we're trying to achieve. Take it back to your coach and coachee. The playbook is your goal setting. We sit down together, figure out what goals we want to achieve, and then we figure out a way to get there through our objectives.
Right.
So that's how you do that. So the discipline piece of it, when you sit down with an employee and you set your goals, and then you don't, there's not a negative feedback, because the employee already knows what to expect. And so you sit down and really talk about, did you make the goal or you didn't make the goal?
Right.
And you do it through SMART goal planning. And SMART is being specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. You want to make sure that when you sit down and have goals, that there's some measurement in place. So if I say to you, if you're in sales, that I want you to sell 10 books a day and you make 8 each day, we can look at the measurement and say, well, you didn't make the goal.
So it's real objective.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And then from there, you work with the employee of why that's happening, and then helping them to make better sales or to help them with that goal, to achieve that goal.
Let's say that you tried coaching as a strategy and the performance still isn't where you need it to be. When do you start the discipline process?
Okay. That, when you realize that the coaching is not an aspect, let me separate the two, because even you can still continue to coach, and if there's a problem in the performance area that has to be documented and where you have to start taking note, then you want to treat them separately. You don't want to put coaching and discipline the same.
Okay.
So you definitely want to separate those out and then focus on the situation of the employee where they're not achieving in that area, and start the documentation, and always tell the employee what it is they're not accomplishing and what policy, if there's a policy that they're not meeting up to, point out to the policy, and then help them and suggest a guideline that can help them with the process. Come up with a solution together. Ask them, what do you think you can do better so we don't have this problem, or where we can achieve the goal of attendance, for instance. It's always a big one with supervisors. And if you have that to where they're not accomplishing that goal, then what can you do to actually put together where you actually to help the employee with their attendance problem.
Right. It sounds like you're talking about a performance improvement plan.
Yes.
That you document the conversations that you've had with the employee to correct the performance, and then you may be constructing with their input a performance improvement plan to get them back on the track that you
Performance improvement plan's correct, but it's a little bit different, because now we're now isolating the incident, because we've tried some technique, we tried coaching, we tried talking. Now the performance improvement plan is really focusing to the employee, saying, we are really having some problems here. We need to really help you in the coaching. We're going to really focus. We're going to meet more often. We're going to talk more often. We're going to get together more often to help you to be the best employee you can be through the process of
So it doesn't have to be a negative experience, discipline. It's in the best interest of the employee, trying to help them be successful.
Right. And you need to articulate that when talking to the employee, that discipline is a corrective action of behavior. And it's looking at the employee and how can we take the problem and correct the problem. Coaching is more or less looking at the strengths and weaknesses of the employee and focusing on those areas of improvement or the weaknesses to where they can be at their full potential as well.
Daphne, thank you very much for being on Good Work Now.
Okay.
Being our first guest on the show. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you for having me.
And one final question. Your company is called Mindsets. Say a little bit about what Mindsets is.
Okay. Mindsets is a business consulting company that focuses on consulting and training. And we are a company that likes to work with corporate America in the areas of supervision that can help employees be at their best potential. We have an array of different areas of diversity that we also do training and consultation.
And Daphne's information is on the screen. And thank you very much for being here on Good Work Now. And we'll see you next time on the show. Take care.